Welcome back to Culture and Code, the show where the future of work meets the present day existential crisis. I'm your host, Nina Arora Rowland.
And I'm your host, Rayfield Johnson Jr., like an announcer. All right. In part one, we talked about how engineer careers aren't going extinct. Instead, they're just molting like very stressed out cicadas.
Beautiful imagery, Rayfield. Truly poetic.
Well, art's my favorite subject, Nina, so I had to try.
You suffer for your art, don't you?
I do not.
Part two of our two-part episode. Today, we're continuing the theme and tackling the big question: what happens to interns, junior developers, and entry-level folks when AI starts doing all the starter tasks?
Or as we like to call them appropriately, the learning experiences.
And as managers call them, repetitive tasks.
That's a good way of putting it. All right, let's get this out of the way. Obviously, we've talked a lot about AI and the varying different levels, but it's important to know that every role is important when dealing with AI. These roles are not going extinct. This isn't like the movie Jurassic Park. Yeah, they're going to be around here for a while.
Although some tasks and skills may be going extinct or evolving.
Yeah, that's true, but it's not extinct. Um, AI is automating like a lot of the beginner tasks. So it doesn't erase the entry level work. Instead, it's evolving a number of things. It's changing what entry level really looks like and how we do it.
Exactly. Instead of spending hours copying spreadsheets or formatting PowerPoints, junior developers or analysts are now being asked to think, analyze, and problem solve.
Yeah, I agree. And even though a lot of us are still copying PowerPoints and or work orders and just changing the names. No, I hope that's not true. But anyway, truthfully, it is a bit terrifying because things are changing, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like the training wheels are coming off, but they're still there. It's just like the car is self-driving now, right? So the analysts are self-driving.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to answer this question, but I would say to our viewers, what do you think junior developers rather are actually going to do now that AI is doing a lot of these entry level tasks, right? So when you get a chance, we would love to hear what you were thinking, and as it relates to our podcast with the hashtag Culture and Code Podcast. We'd love to hear from you. But Nina, what do you think junior developers are going to actually do now?
They do the things AI can't, asking smart questions, interpreting ambiguous requirements, understanding the business behind the code, spotting when AI output is confidently wrong, confidently wrong. And yes, explaining to their boss why the model is hallucinating a marketing strategy for a product that doesn't exist. And also, those water cooler talks, you learn a lot from your client just by building relationships and also understanding the politics of the office, the project, the team members. That's stuff that AI can't do.
Yeah. I think a lot of what you just emphasized was around like the soft skills or the problem solving skills that go from being present versus being asked a question, right? So it kind of goes back to even the way we would hire people to date, like when we were bringing them into consulting, they would always come in with, here's the technical answer for this, and this is how you use this specific syntax. But the reality is we were looking for problem solving skills. And you got to remember that those foundational thinking skills matter way more than whether you can manually convert CSVs, you know?
Absolutely. One thing that comes to mind is, what AI is doing for us in terms of development, coding, and, generating pipelines and such. When Google first came out, we were Googling code snippets. So it's a very, very similar impact to the industry. Next level, of course, AI can do way more than simple Googling, but there are efficiencies gained through all of these innovations.
Yeah, completely agree. I think what people are focused on right now is the mindset that they're going to lose their job, right? There's a
Yeah.
very, very funny old South Park episode. If you ever get a chance, our viewers, you should go check it out, where the quote there took our jobs are used quite a bit, but they're using a very, very country way of saying it. So I can't do it any justice on this podcast, but you should check it out. South Park. But here's a twist, right? The entry level people aren't losing opportunities or jobs. They're gaining a very efficient, very weird mentor out of AI.
Yeah, absolutely. AI doesn't get tired, doesn't judge your dumb questions, doesn't have a bazillion meetings scheduled on their calendar, and doesn't drink the last cold brew without replacing it. I think
Yeah,
that's the most important thing.
yeah. I would think of AI in the way of a developer or even like a junior developer. It's giving you the advice, like here's the code that technically compiles, but will unleash chaos upon the world.
So the real skill is learning when to trust it and when to say, that's adorable. Let's not do that again.
You should just always just run whatever code AI gives you and just, wish for the best. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a very, very short term, short-lived career if you do that, right?
Yeah.
The developers need to become the human in the loop. So we always talk about human in the loop and decision making, but the decision around the things that you're putting out before it gets tested and called out for being terrible, you need to be the human in the loop that stops that process, right? And those tasks are important, but be the one that's in front of it. The quality control between AI generated nonsense and production deployment is very, very important for you to have your eyes on.
Yeah, yeah. More and more organizations are rethinking entry-level roles entirely.
Yeah, I agree. Because instead of like the task-based roles, they're shifting towards apprenticeship style models where they're engaging and interacting with the AI and not just like looking at just these task-based roles.
Absolutely. It's less of do this task, more of shadow this decision, participate in this conversation, understand the system and the business that that system supports.
Yeah, it's very, very important that you learn the why before the how. It's better overall for a career prep and the trajectory of your career journey.
Yeah, plus it reduces the number of interns who panic when someone says, "What do you think?"
Yeah, it's like a very horrifying moment for for anyone, right? When you say, "What do you think?" You kind of pause a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So, anything else were you saying anything else, Nina? I'm sorry. I didn't want to
No.
cut you off. Okay. Well, now it's time for our Marvel quote. I like that we've kind of shifted from doing the quote at the beginning to the quote towards the end because it gives a bit more of a, value to what we have said. And what I would say is that our Marvel quote of the episode, it's a career advice without a superhero metaphor. What is that, right? You have to
Yeah.
have that in the podcast. Go ahead, Nina.
Today's quote is from Peggy Carter in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. The world has changed, and none of us can go back. All we can do is our best.
Why was that such an announcement? Like, today's quote
Because
is
it's Peggy
from
Carter, who's
Peggy
one of my favorite
Carter,
characters.
Captain America. All right. All right. That right there is the entry level vibe. Exactly. Yeah. You may not have years of experience yet. You might not know the entire tech stack, but you're getting to a point where you're gonna know more and more, and the world is
Yeah.
constantly changing around you. Go ahead, Nina.
Yeah. What you do have is curiosity, creativity, and ideally working Wi-Fi.
Yep. That's enough, right? That's enough to start, truthfully. From
Absolutely.
it's a great quote. What was the quote? Who was the quote from again?
Peggy Carter.
Peggy Carter.
Oh, Becky. All right. So
Sorry.
what happens to interns and junior analysts and developers in an AI world?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing we know is that they don't disappear. They don't go extinct. They're leveling up. right?
Yeah. The boring tasks are gone. The interesting work starts earlier, and your ability to think becomes the real superpower.
Yeah. Entry level isn't dying, it's evolving, right?
Like Pokemon, because they keep popping up. It'd be nice to see if they pop up in every episode or the MCU timeline.
Yeah, maybe we'll shift from MCU to Pokemon quotes, but I don't know if we can how long we can go off of Pika
Hmm.
Pika from Pikachu, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of Culture and Code. Remember our hashtag Culture and Code podcast, right?
Yeah. Now go forth. Mentor your interns, senior leaders, please. Embrace AI and remember,
You're still smarter than your autocomplete.
absolutely. Take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Till next time.